Have you ever noticed how easy it is to feel spiritually full and completely miss what's right in front of you? I was thinking about this the other day when I saw a mum with three young children at the supermarket. I just noticed that and I realised that she was carefully calculating the cost of like every item and putting things back that she couldn't afford. She was trying to make her money stretch. But I also realised that I'd walked past her twice, completely absorbed in my own world, looking at my phone and my own thoughts. And it made me wonder, how many times do we leave church feeling spiritually satisfied while remaining completely disconnected from the struggles happening to all those around us? How many times do we experience God's presence in worship but miss his presence in the person who needs our help? So in this session, we're looking at Isaiah 58, 6 to 11 and James 2, 14 to 17 to discover something powerful, that true revival has a way of opening our eyes to see what God sees. And when we start seeing the world through God's eyes, we can't help but respond. And we respond with our hands and our hearts and our resources. Because revival isn't just about feeling God's presence, it's about becoming God's presence in the world. So let's just read Isaiah 58, 6 to 7. This is God speaking to his people about what he's really looking for. And he says this: "Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood?" Here's what's interesting. God's people thought they were being spiritual through their religious practices, but God's basically saying, here you're missing the point entirely. The kind of revival God wants isn't just about our vertical relationship with him, but it's also that relationship that transforms our horizontal relationships with one another, especially with those who are struggling. Notice the specific actions that God mentions: breaking the chains of injustice, freeing the oppressed, feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, clothing the naked. This isn't just about being nice. This is about justice. This is about seeing the world the way that God sees it and responding with practical compassion. God is saying, if you want revival, if you want my presence and power, then start caring about the people I care about. The heart of God always beats for the poor, the marginalised and the forgotten. And when our hearts align with his, revival is the natural result. And there's an incredible promise that follows these verses. If we look at verses 8 to 11, it says, "Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer you. You will cry for help, and he will say, 'Here I am.' The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail." Did you see what was being said there? When we live with the heart of mercy and justice, God promises that our light will break forth like the dawn. Our healing will quickly appear. God will answer when we call. We'll be like a well-watered garden in a dry land. Let me be clear though, this isn't prosperity theology. This is about revival theology. When we align our hearts with God's heart for the poor and marginalised, we position ourselves to experience the fullness of his presence and power. Revival isn't just about feeling good in church. It's about God's light shining through us into the darkest places of our world. God promises to guide us always, to satisfy our needs, to strengthen us when we're weak. But notice, this promise is connected to our willingness to loose the chains of injustice and to care for the poor. Mercy received becomes mercy given, and mercy given becomes revival experienced. Now, let's connect this to what James writes in chapter 2. He says this: "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith, but no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and be well fed," but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. James is asking a challenging question. What good is faith that doesn't translate into practical love? He gives this painful example. Imagine someone coming to you who's hungry and cold, and you say, "God bless you, brother or sister. Hope you get warm and get fed." But then you do nothing to help meet their actual needs. James says that kind of faith is dead. And this connects directly to the passage that we read in Isaiah 58. God isn't impressed by our religious activities if they don't lead to practical compassion. James is saying that real faith, living faith, always expresses itself in deeds of mercy and justice. But you need to understand this. It isn't about earning God's love or working your way to heaven. This is what happens when the love of God genuinely transforms your heart. When you've truly experienced God's mercy, you can't help but extend mercy to others. When you've been rescued by His grace, you naturally want to see others rescued too. James is saying that faith without works is dead. But faith with works is alive. It's powerful and world-changing. And when the church lives out this kind of faith, revival follows. Revival isn't just about what happens on Sunday mornings. Revival happens when the church becomes the hands and feet of Jesus in a broken world. It happens when our hearts break for the things that break God's heart. It happens when we stop talking about loving our neighbours and start actually loving them. So I want to leave you with a challenge. Ask God to give you His heart for the poor and marginalised in your community. Look for a practical way that you can loose the chains of injustice or feed the hungry or care for the vulnerable. Because when we live with hearts of mercy, God promises us that His light will break forth through us like the dawn, and that is revival.